Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I am an advocate for OCD, in particular Pure OCD, which also happens to be the name of my memoir. Yay, I hope you enjoy it if you read it. I'm also a certified peer support specialist, working worldwide to support people, walking alongside them as they work toward recovery for OCD. I can also provide referrals and resources for therapists who are specialized in treating OCD anywhere around the world. And I run groups, closed 8-week peer support groups, and I will be restarting some of those at the end of October. So if you'd like more information about any of my services or want to schedule an appointment, head on over to chrissyhodges.com. NoCD, NOCD is an app, and they also provide telehealth doing ERP in the US and in many other countries. So if you want to schedule an appointment with them or find out more about their services, go to treatmyocd.com. So today I wanted to talk about a very important topic that many of us have dealt with, and it's very odd and confusing, but it's called the backdoor spike. I think this was named by Dr. Philipson. I'm pretty sure it was coined by him, but what this is spike meaning trigger. That's what he calls spikes. What this is getting anxiety about not having anxiety. Now, let me explain. So, when we get intrusive thoughts, sometimes we, think about, oh my gosh, I wish it was the way it used to be, and blah 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 blah. And you wish that you're just wishing that you didn't suffer, right? Well, so then the goal then becomes, well, I need to get to a point where I'm not suffering anymore and these intrusive thoughts aren't bothering me. Okay, so what does that mean? That means being able to just have the thoughts without anxiety. Well, it sometimes isn't that easy because we run into the obstacle when our intrusive thoughts are really disturbing. We run into the obstacle of the anxiety makes me feel safe. The anxiety makes me feel like I'm not going to, or that intrusive thoughts aren't true. If the anxiety is there, it means that I won't snap and act on it. So the anxiety almost becomes this safety wall for us, right? We can't, as long as the anxiety is there, I know these thoughts aren't real. As long as the anxiety is there, I feel as if it will stop me if for some reason I lose control and act on the intrusive thoughts, which is really scary for people to think about. So the idea then listen, the recovery from OCD is to be able to have thoughts without anxiety. So this is why it gets so confusing. This is why you start to think, oh no, but I need and I want the anxiety there, because now you've kind of doubled down into the intrusive thoughts, and you're kind of inside of that, not knowing how to get out, but kind of getting to a point where you're relying on the anxiety to make decisions for you. Meaning, if I have the anxiety there, that just shows me that the intrusive thoughts are distressing, meaning I don't want them. So it can be super confusing, and it can also just make you feel like there's just no way out. And when we have taboo intrusive thoughts, this is when the backdoor spike can really become a barrier to getting better. Because here's the thing, when you are dealing with taboo intrusive thoughts I always define taboo intrusive thoughts as the type of thoughts that society as a whole feel abhorred about, right? So pedophilia, bestiality, incest, necrophilia, those things that you wouldn't say out loud at a coffee shop without getting weird looks. So when people have these intrusive thoughts, the anxiety is sometimes a relief. I feel relieved to have the anxiety, knowing that I do believe this is wrong, or that the thoughts are bad, or they're miserable. So the idea of getting rid of the anxiety sometimes feels like too much of a risk. Okay? So bear with me. And I've done an earlier video on this. The risk feels like I refuse to engage in any of these behaviors that my thoughts are. I refuse. That is not who I am. That is not who I want to be. I'm abhorred by the thoughts, blah, 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 blah. But the anxiety makes you feel like, see, that just shows I am disgusted by it. And as long as that anxiety is there, I know that I'm safe, even though the anxiety is making you miserable. So getting rid of the anxiety almost feels like too much of a risk, right? What if the anxiety is there and I find out these are real? What if if it's not there and I find out these are real? What if it is not there and I snap and do something awful, or I realize that this is really who I am? Okay, so I want to back up. The backdoor spike is so common, and it's not just taboo intrusive thoughts. So many people get the backdoor spike because, to a degree, you come to rely on the anxiety almost as if it is reassurance. So to take that away is like taking reassurance away, which is taking a compulsion away. And that's scary because compulsions are what we do to try to feel better from the intrusive thoughts. So think about it this way. The backdoor spike and dealing with that is just one more compulsion that you have to get rid of. And sometimes it's the last big one, right? Because you've done a lot of work and now you're not feeling anxiety and now you're feeling scared. But I want to feel the anxiety because I don't want these thoughts. And the anxiety helps me to believe that the thoughts aren't real. So my point today is this. You are not alone, first of all, okay? The backdoor spike is super common. And secondly, this is our goal. Our goal is to be able to have thoughts and have them be irrelevant, okay? And irrelevant means they are just passing thoughts. And a lot of us can look back kind of before OCD showed up big time for us and really wrecked our lives. And we can look back and think, wow, I was 8, so I don't really remember, but there were time periods in my life where it was not that prevalent. And I remember those times. And, a lot of times people describe it as OCD kind of goes to the back of my head. I know it's still there, but it's not over everything and not very prevalent. And so those are the times we remember and think, wow, I wish it would be like that. Again, we're just wishing that we weren't suffer, but not suffering means thoughts are irrelevant and that we aren't reacting and attaching to the anxiety that comes up on the thoughts. So the goal is to get rid of the anxiety. And I just want you to know, if you're struggling with this, I know how it feels and you're not alone. And I'm so sorry because this is tough, but we have to remember that, I'm just going to say it. Thoughts are just thoughts. I'm not diminishing what we're all going through. But when it comes to some of the taboo topics, or if you've been stuck on this backdoor spike, you sometimes just have to take the risk and live with the uncertainty, because you have to get to a point where you cut out that compulsion too. The reassurance piece, using anxiety as reassurance, and you will be okay. Because remember, it's the compulsions that are driving this cycle. It's not the thoughts. It's the compulsions. It's our response to the thoughts that keeps the cycle alive. So if you want more information about backdoor spike, head on over to OCDonline.com. That's Dr. Phillipson's website, and he does have some more information. I also think John Hirschfield has written about it. I think he wrote about how the backdoor spike is not aptly named for people that have sexual orientation OCD. Anyway, so, okay, I hope that helps clear some stuff up, and I hope that helps you know that this is completely a phenomenon that comes along with having OCD, and that keep in mind the goal is to be able to have thoughts and have them be irrelevant. So has anxiety become a safety for you? Maybe reframe that and start looking at that as anxiety has now become reassurance, and that in itself is a compulsion. So I hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, head on over to ChrissyHodges.com to find out more about my services, and I will see you on my next video. Bye now.